Train to Busan. A truck moves toward a toll gate as it's being disinfected, with a few laborers cleaning the region in hazardous materials suits. The transporter goes through the toll gate and blames them for dialing him back. However, the laborers guarantee him that everything seems okay, and that the region is simply being disinfected as there was a little break at a close-by atomic plant. As he passes the toll gate, he is diverted by his ringing telephone and coincidentally runs over a doe. In the wake of examining the scene, he gets ease in his truck and drives off. Notwithstanding, the doe stumbles to its feet in spite of the accident and goes to uncover that it is tainted dye. In the meantime, in Seoul, Sukcharm is a bustling asset chief who scarcely possesses energy for his little girl Suwon, not to mention his separation. Following a distressing day at work and coincidentally purchasing Sue a similar birthday present he did last year, Suwon uncovers that she needs to visit her mom in Busan. Sukcharm is at first hesitant because of work, yet his mom persuades him in any case by showing him a video of Sue singing Salute Oe at a school presentation. She quits singing in the melody, which she was unable to go to because of work. Out of responsibility, Sukcharm books the following KTX train headed for Busan the following morning. Promptly in the first part of the day, Sukcharm drives Sue to the station, just to collide with an approaching swarm of ambulances and squad cars almost. As Sukcharm contemplates what could be happening, Sue connects the vehicle window and gets an ash in her grasp, provoking Sukcharm to see the consuming structure somewhere far off. He comments that there's something awful going on, however drives to the station in any case. They board the train, which is likewise involved by the extreme common spouse Sangwa and his pregnant wife Songkyung, a secondary schoolball club, rich yet narrow-minded chief Farofsuk, and a couple of old sisters, Ingil and Jongil, and a vagrant who was by all accounts mindful of the zombie circumstance. As the train gets ready to leave, a spasming young lady loads up the train with a tremendous chomp twisted on her leg. Outside the train, station director then flags the KTX to leave, just to see a gathering on top of the steps of the station, shouting at something inconspicuous. Sue watches through the window as the chief is immediately trapped by a raging human, which just she witnesses. Terrified, Sue gets up to go to the washroom. In the lower numbered vehicles, a train orderly goes over the contaminated lady, and she endeavors to revive her, just for the lady to finish her change. The zombie then hooks onto the orderly's neck, who runs into the ball club's vehicle in a frenzy. The two then tumble to the floor, presently the two zombies. The two continue to go after the greater part of the ball club and mix a swarm of zombies. All the while, just 4 understudies escape: baseball player Youngduk, his crush Jeannie, and 2 anonymous young men. The zombies race towards the upper compartments and taint everybody in their way. Suwon accidentally strolls towards the lower ones, searching for a washroom. Sukcharm stirs a notification that Suwon is absent from her seat. He then gets a call from a colleague, who illuminates him that savage uproars have ejected around Korea. Before sufficiently long, a gathering of overreacted travelers from the lower compartments hurry through past his seat, shouting and running. Presently understanding that Sue might be at serious risk, Sukcharm runs the other way and sees Sue standing directly before an approaching swarm of zombies. He gets her, and they are pursued by the swarm. However, Sukcharm effectively arrives at his compartment and endeavors to blockade it, almost locking Sangwa and Songkyung out all the while. The survivors battle to blockade the entryway, then understand that the zombies don't have the foggiest idea how to open it, and only charge at seeing people. Songkyung utilizes water and papers to cover the windows, which cures what is going on by making the zombies think they are not there. The guide consoles the survivors over the radio that the train won't go to Busan, yet stop at Daegu station, as he has been educated that the military has been dispatched there. Farofsuk calls his organization companions and gets some information about the circumstance at Daegu, which Sukcharm hears and reasons from it that all showing up travelers at Daegu will be effectively isolated. He settles on a confidential decision to a collaborator and persuades him to pick him and Suwon up independently so they will not be isolated. The train then, at that point, shows up at the unwanted Daegu station, and Sukcharm takes Sue towards the east leave where they will be gotten, while the others go towards the fundamental exit. The vagrant follows Sukcharm, having heard his call. The three go down the lobby where they see a warrior somewhere far off. Eased, Sukcharm tells Sue to remain where she is, and he surges towards the warrior for help, just to see that he is harmed. The warrior implores them to help him before a crowd of tainted fighters round the corner, stomping on and consuming him. The other survivors head out the principal exit. Towards the lower part of the lift, the survivors see an enormous gathering of formally dressed men and understand the troopers are totally tainted, and the sending has fizzled. A few of the travelers are eaten and tainted as they scramble back up the elevator and back into the station. Seokcharm, still inside the station concourse and confronting zombies, tells Suhee to run. She does so and finds Song Kyeon and Sanghwa, who are hurrying back to the train with the others. Song Kyeon takes Suwon and hurries to the stage, while Sanghwa fends off the crowd with Seokcharm, Yoongguk, and the two other baseball players. When they figure out how to lock the leave entryway, they hurry to the train. Yoongguk's two companions are gone after and contaminated when they arrive at the stage. In the meantime, Genie, Far-Off Sook, and a couple of others have effectively loaded up the train. Song Kyeong and Suwon are likewise boarding when a glass span over the train breaks and sends zombies coming down onto the stage. One of the zombies falls between In-gil and Jong-gil, isolating them. Jong-gil is effectively hauled on board Genie's compartment, and she watches In-gil, Song Kyeong, and Suwon altercation the other way. Song Kyeong, Suwon, In-gil, and the vagrant blockade themselves inside a restroom in one of the lower contaminated compartments, while Yoongguk, Seokcharm, and Sanghwa effectively get onto a protected compartment. Sanghwa calls his better half and acknowledges she is caught in the restroom with a couple of others. Reluctant to pass on them to bite the dust, them three start battling through the lower compartments to protect them. Simultaneously, they find the zombies are visually impaired in obscurity and just respond to sound. They utilize this for their potential benefit and figure out how to protect them, and they generally run together towards the primary compartment, where Far-Off Sook, Genie, Jong-gil, and the director are. Yoongguk texts Jinhee that they have saved the survivors and are going towards her compartment. At the point when she joyfully tells the others, they respond with aggression and choose to lock the way to their compartment to keep the gathering from entering. With the entryway locked, Yoongguk endeavors to tear it open, while Seokcharm and Sanghwa battle to hold the zombies back from entering on the opposite side. Understanding that there isn't sufficient opportunity, Sanghwa tells Seokcharm to deal with his better half and abandon him to divert the zombies. Seokcharm mournfully apologizes and relinquishes the entryway, hauling Suwon and Song Kyeong towards the blockaded entryway. Before he is consumed, Sanghwa figures out how to tell his significant other the name he decided for their unborn child. The locked entryway is separated and the survivors heap into the compartment securely. There is a second entryway inside the compartment, which they close, albeit In-gil isn't quickly enough and she is eaten. Understanding that Sanghwa and In-gil might have made do too in the event that the gathering hadn't blockaded the entryway, Seokcharm irately punches Far-Off Sook and requests to know why he did something like this. Reluctant to reply, Far-Off Sook misleads the others and demands that Seokcharm and his partners are contaminated. Imparting dread inside the underlying gathering that blockaded the entryway, they force Seokcharm and the gathering that just entered the compartment, presently joined by Jinhee, into the foyer between their compartment and the guide's vehicle. Whenever they are constrained out, Far-Off Sook and the others utilize their bow ties and shirts to secure the handle and keep them from returning. Jong-gil, still stunned and quiet from seeing her sister kick the bucket unnecessarily, sees right in front of Gil in the horde of zombies in the entryway window. She lets her tainted sister know that she carried on with a long and satisfying life, and understands that the compartment gathering's activities have prompted her sister's demise. Bitterly en route, Jong-gil opens the entryway, permitting the zombies to flood the protected compartment. The survivors inside the lobby can look as the gathering is eaten inside the compartment. They see shadows of the travelers frantically tearing at the entryway they just blockaded. In a horrible touch of occasions, the guide gets a radio notice that Busan has prevailed with regards to holding off the zombie contamination. Be that as it may, as they approach a station before Busan, the train is cut off by trash on the track. The guide illuminates the leftover survivors on the train over the speaker that he will track down one more train on an unblocked track to head to Busan and that they ought to follow him, however wishes them karma, as they should leave the train and endure crossing the zombie-filled tracks. He leaves his cockpit and tracks down an unfilled way, effectively finding a freight train. He fires it up and starts going down the track towards Busan, looking for survivors on the track. Seokcharm and the others leave the train, and unbeknownst to them, Far-Off Sook has endured the swarm of zombies in the compartment by concealing in the washroom. He additionally hears the guide's declaration and battles right out of the compartment, however a few zombies keep pursuing him as he gets off. In the meantime, Seokcharm's gathering is advancing toward the freight train. Unexpectedly, a consuming cargo vehicle surges towards them, and Jin-hee and Young-guk are isolated from the gathering when the out-of-control cargo rams into the vehicles of a close-by train, which falls and blocks their way. They go into one of the following train vehicles to move over to the opposite side through the entryway, not seeing that far-off Suk, who is being pursued by a zombie, is following them. Far-off Suk enters the vehicle and tosses Jin-hee behind him, forfeiting her to the zombie. Young-guk wards the zombie off and falls to the ground, supporting the spasming Jin-hee in his arms. Far-off Suk overlooks them and figures out how to pry the entryway open and runs towards the freight train. As Jin-hee gags and starts to turn, Young-guk starts to cry, inquiring as to why destiny must be this way. He is sorry to Jin-hee for not informing her how he felt concerning her, as she completely turns and consumes his face and throat. Far-off Suk runs towards the freight train, however bends his lower leg on the tracks, and one of the zombies following him figures out how to nibble his lower leg. The guide surges off the vehicle to help, yet Far-off Suk deceives him and tosses him to the side to the zombies as he did with Jin-hee. He overlooks the guide's shouts for help as he sheets the train alone. In the interim, the vagrant, Suwon, Sukcharm, and Songkyeong are on the opposite side of the destruction, caught under a train brimming with zombies. The windows of the train take steps to fall without warning. Sukcharm tracks down an opening under the train and starts to move under it, however a piece of the train implodes and seals the opening before the other three can endure. The effect likewise breaks a window, and a little gathering of zombies tumble out and creep towards the three. In any case, the vagrant penances himself to the zombies without a second to spare, permitting sufficient time for Sukcharm to pull the trash away, and for Songkyeong and Suwei to get away. They run towards the freight train and get on its open-air foundation. Sukcharm moves toward the cockpit yet steps back when he sees Far-off Suk in the guide's seat, smooth looked at and contaminated. He at first closes the entryway, yet Far-off Suk opens it despite being a zombie. The disease has not arrived at his mind. Far-off Suk approaches Sukcharm and beseeches him to bring him back home to Busan, talking like a young man and discussing his location and the name of his mom. Sukcharm lets him know he is tainted, and Far-off Suk is immediately stunned, and he sobs, yet in practically no time, he is completely turned. Sukcharm starts to battle with the zombified Far-off Suk and almost tumbles off the edge of the vehicle. Suwei shouts on the opposite side of the vehicle stage, which draws in Far-off Suk, and he endeavors to go after Songkyeong and Suwon. In any case, Sukcharm mediates, and his hand is seriously chomped. He figures out how to throw Far-off Suk off the vehicle yet sees his physical issue. Mindful that he will turn very soon, he situates Suwon and Songkyeong in the cockpit and lets them know how to utilize the brakes once they get to Busan Station. He then, at that point, attempts to leave the vehicle, yet Suwon implores him to remain and uncovers that upon the arrival of her presentation, she didn't get done with singing Salute Oe on the grounds that she didn't see Sukcharm in the crowd. She had been saving the tune for her dad. The two have a weepy goodbye, and Sukcharm holds Suwei's little hands in his briefly, prior to tossing them to the side and keeping himself out of the cockpit. Suwei starts to shout and sob for him to return. As the contamination spreads, Sukcharm wails as he strolls towards the finish of the train vehicle, gripping his horrendous hand. Suwei keeps on weeping for him inside the cockpit, as Songkyeong attempts to hold her back. He gradually moves toward the rear of the train vehicle, battling the contamination, and starts considering when Suwei was a baby. Reviewing his most joyful recollections of supporting her and holding her little fingers and toes, as he did in the cockpit previously, the disease grabs hold, his eyes going white and veins going dim. Be that as it may, regardless of being completely zombified, Sukcharm keeps considering Suwon and he grins joyfully towards the sky prior to tumbling off the vehicle and onto the tracks. It is left vague with respect to whether this was because of his body spasming, or him leaping off the vehicle in a demonstration of self-destruction to protect Suwon and Songkyeong. The train vehicle at last shows up at the passage prompting Busan Station. Be that as it may, the track is closed off with trash. The two leave the vehicle and start strolling down the passage, not mindful that they are being watched on the opposite side by the Busan military. One of the expert marksmen reports their way to deal with his boss and is told to destroy them, as they can't perceive an obscurity regardless of whether they are contaminated. Similarly, as the sharpshooter is going to pull the trigger, Suwei starts to forlornly sing Salam Oe to mobilize the depleted Songkyeong to stroll to the furthest limit of the passage. Hearing her tune, the fighters acknowledge they are not tainted and hurry to their guide.